So, last week we discussed Jason Robertson and like his domination on the league over the last 30 games as fate would have it. And I love seeing this because it was pretty fun. I actually watched the game. It was really fun to watch. This guy was giving him a run for his money. He's giving him for a run for his money all season long. You know that guy's name? Tage Thompson, Buffalo Sabres Tage Thompson. He took our discussion personally. And you know what he went out to do? Decided to score 6 points in this game this past week. And I think what we have these two guys have in common. So the breakout stars, they're taking this league by storm. They're the names that are circulating every single time we hop on the podcast, which I love. We're seeing a passing of the torch, if you will, from those big guys like McDavid's and the Drys. Even though they're still at the top of the leaderboards in points as far as they're concerned, great players will always be great. But you have these guys coming up the ladder, and it's so fun to watch, man. This is why I want to talk about them. And the breakout stars, well, that's what we're going to be leading off today's Leafs Line podcast with. Hello, everyone. My name is Mary Russo. Joining me today is Evan Davis and Jerry Rotenberg. We are waiting-ish for Adam Romoli. I don't know if he's going to show, but if he's watching this back and he's not here, Adamo, what's going on, man? We got to figure he's 1-0. Figure it out, Mr. Romoli. But alas, I digress. This is the Leafs Line podcast. As you guys all know, we talk all things hockey, Toronto Maple Leafs. We'll talk a bit of Leafs today because William Nylander, third star of the week, I believe, over the last 7 days. He's been red hot, and he deserves the attention, just like Mitch Marner had on our show a week ago. And let's kick it off. Breakout stars, guys. There's a lot to get into. There's a lot of breakout stars, which I think is just great for the game. I think this is one of the prominent places as a young fan. Like if I went back and had a time machine, or I could have went to now become 12 years old, growing up and watching hockey. This is a great place. You have so many guys with so much potential, a great caliber of skill set. And it's not like what we grew up with. We had the generational talents, the Matthews, the Eichels, which I still consider probably one of the generational talents or around there. So many players that can just take over a game and are going to be, the minute they got drafted, first ballot Hall of Famers. And now we're seeing a lot of guys. It's a different sort of process. We're not seeing the breakout stars. Maybe we'll see it next year, the next draft. We got Connor Bedard, who's, just go look at his numbers. It's ridiculous. But maybe we'll see another generational talent. But right now we're seeing a lot more trend of breakout stars. One of which, Tage Thompson. One of which, Jason Robertson. Let's talk about them, guys. Second and third in points, respectively. Dylan Cousins is another guy in the Buffalo Sabres who I would be reminiscent if I didn't mention him. Over a point per game in his third year with the team. And in the Metro, you got guys like Jack Hughes, 34 points, and he's been healthy for most of the year. That's been sort of his problem over the last couple of seasons. Is there a reason we've been seeing a lot more different names submerging in the scoring races? A lot more of those breakout stars breaking out? Like, is it just a coincidence, or is this just the passing of the torch, an era that comes every so often when it's not just the one guy running the show? There's a couple other guys running the table. Jared, I'll start with you. What can you make of this sort of coincidence or this influx in the amount of young talent that we're seeing dominate the league every single night? Like, I love it. It's great for the game, in my opinion. I want to hear your thoughts on it. What are you thinking here?
I think at the end of the day, the league is just that much more competitive, and these young kids are coming up with a different sort of set of skills. And at the end of the day, these kids, like your Tage Thompson, whatever, yeah, they aren't first overall picks, and they aren't the guys that jumped into the league and you expected them to take over. But these are kids who always had the potential and always had the skill. Obviously, Tage Thompson, he was a first round pick, late first round pick back in 2016. And for years, oh, this kid, when's he going to pan out? He ended up being involved in that Ryan O'Reilly trade. There's years where he was disappointing. Then all of a sudden last year, he kind of came out of nowhere, scored almost 40 goals. And then there's a big question mark. Is he going to be able to follow that up? And right now he's proving that last year wasn't just a fluke. Last year wasn't just a one-off. He's a legit player. He's a top 4 scorer in the entire NHL right now, or top 3. And he just is proving game and game in that he is a legit player and he is dominant. And unfortunately, he's not on a team where his results are really bringing Buffalo to the top of the standings. They still find themselves 7th overall in the Atlantic. But this is a kid that's proving year after year, because now it's his second year being at the top of the league standings, and he just is a legit player. And in general, just comes down to all these young, skilled players. They want to prove something. They want to get themselves into the conversation of those top players in the league. And Tage Thompson, Jason Robertson, guys that maybe aren't household names yet, but if they keep playing the way they're playing right now, they're getting their names into that conversation because they've been unbelievable all year long.
And you mentioned sustainability, and if they can keep up not even a streak. Like if they can keep it up and keep their production up to par, they've done that perfectly fine. I'm looking at the guys like I mentioned before, and I might become a broken record here, but as of right now, as we're discussing on December 14th, these guys are the breakout stars in a guy like Tage Thompson, a guy like Jason Robertson. You can even throw in Jack Hughes' name in there because he's been trying to get to that point for some time, and he's slowly seen the results come. And he's a little bit different, right? He's on New Jersey. The team's having success so far this year, maybe not recently. The 10-game stretch has been a little bit of a stumble, but if you look at the big picture so far in 2022-23, he's been one of the front runners on that team. And there's been a lot of young guys on that team that have been kind of turning the wheel, so to speak. Evan, I want to go to you here. And I mean, it's pretty special, like I mentioned, to see a lot of this new era of hockey where there's so many breakout stars. It kind of brings a certain type of vibe. I want to ask you this question, and Jared, I'll throw it back to you as well because I really want to hear your thoughts as well. Uh, is there a player, one specific breakout star that you would think is the best to build a team around? If you're the GM, put your GM hat on. We've done this numerous times on the Leafs Line podcast, so the general manager hat can be it's fitting. It's there. All right. If you got to put your general manager hat on, what breakout star will you take? And we'll label breakout stars, I don't know what, maybe under 24 years old. Is that fair? Under 24,
yeah.
under 24 years
Yeah,
old,
yeah.
you got to pick a player. Who's one guy you're going with? And you could bring in any argument you want, any factors you want that you want to build your entire team around, because that's sort of the place we're seeing a lot of these teams right now. I think Tage Thompson might be the front runner, or one of which at least, on the Buffalo Sabres that they want to build their team around. Same with Jack Hughes. He got that contract. He was the guy. He was pinned as the guy before he even broke out to lead his team to the promised land, which I'm not saying anything. I did say it before, but they could go to that promised land. But Evan, yeah, take a shot at it. Who's one player you could pick? And it's hard, but it's also at the same time too, you're not really making a bad decision because there's a lot of talent in this league.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna put my money where my mouth is, and I'm gonna pick Jason Robertson. I sprink and dinked a little bit of money on him to win the Hart Trophy this year. God, it's so tough because watching Tage Thompson just absolutely dummy the Kings last night with those 2 goals, like, I mean, that has to be a win-win trade for both Buffalo and St. Louis, regardless of if Tage Thompson becomes into some incredible superstar, because the Blues got a cup out of it.
Absolutely.
But like and I was like, just to answer the question, I just think the way that the game has shifted, I feel like in the early 2010s era, like it was still an older man's game, like just an older generation. And now it's kind of going back to like when Crosby and Ovechkin came into the NHL. But God, like Jason Robertson has just been so good this year too. But Tage Thompson is also like on pace for
thing,
like
right?
70 goals this year.
But you're sticking with Jason Robertson, and it's not a bad pick at all.
I gotta stick with Jason Robertson because it's also just because Dallas is winning more than Buffalo is, and that's not a knock on Tage Thompson, because if he had the same supporting cast around him as Jason Robertson does, he might even be better than Jason Robertson just point wise. But God, both of their shots are so good too.
I'll say one thing. I was reading this debate earlier today, and that's kind of what sparked the conversation here on the podcast was, well, who are you going to build a team around? Jason Robertson or Tage Thompson? That was the debate because they're second and third in point scoring this year. I think it's a valid debate to have. And I believe Jason Robertson is 1 or 2 years younger, if I'm not mistaken, or he's slightly younger than Tage Thompson.
I think he's 1 year younger.
1 year. It's not me.
Thompson was 2016 draft. Robertson was 2017.
Exactly.
Can we also just talk about the Dallas Stars 2017 draft?
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Dude, that guy needs a key to the city. Go on. I'm sorry.
Again, this was the debate here between Jason Robertson and Tage Thompson. It was sort of looking at, well, Jason Robertson, he is one of the most highly skilled between the ears, even. He's got one of the best hockey IQs, I think, on the ice in this league right now. And that was one thing that they used in their arguments. I don't know who it was or anything like that, but they were saying, this guy's got a lot of skill between the ears. Whereas Tage Thompson, you're seeing the skill on full display every single night. His shot, his tenacity on the puck, his ability to get into space and score goals, and great ones at that. It's just like it's just a back and forth debate. There's no real wrong answer. Jared, are you picking the other side? Are you taking Tage, or are you going a little off the board and saying maybe there's another breakout star that we haven't even pinned our eyes on just yet?
I think I'm going to stick to one of the two. I'm very conflicted for 2 different reasons. I think if you want to put your boomer hat on and say, who's that 6'6" guy that's going to walk around? Not only does he have the offensive talent, but he could also murder anyone in his path. I like Tage Thompson because he's a big guy, is the physicality, but he's also, as he's been displaying all year long, he has that scoring threat. So I really like him, but I'm also finding myself in a difficult position where I can't ignore what Jason Robertson is doing. And I'd actually differ on Evan's opinion. I mean, we were talking before the show a little bit about our preseason predictions and the fact that none of us are really high on the Dallas Stars. The reason for that is that I'd say I actually don't know if they have that much depth, but Jason Robertson is finding a way to make Dallas competitive regardless. So I think right now you're finding yourself in a situation where Jason Robertson, I wouldn't even say he's put with that much superstars. Yes, Dallas is a more talented team than Buffalo, but he is that guy that's really kind of dominating and making Dallas such a competitive team. I love Jason Robertson, what he's doing, for the reason that he has such good hockey IQ, and he had a lot of criticisms behind him heading into his draft that resulted in falling to the second round, where, oh, he's not a great skater, he's not great at this, whatever. But he's finding a way to get in that open position and score night in, night out. So I like Jason Robertson, but Tage Thompson, I still think, for the boomer reasons, the fact that he has the physicality, whatever, I do like the idea of building around him because I think he will be that number one physical center he'll nail the hits category, but he'll also score each and every night.
And what a steal for Buffalo too. Like you look at the contract difference between the two as well, and it's I think Tage makes, I want to say 50 million, and he's locked up for I think
Well,
till
Robertson, 7 years.
yeah. So
Tage got 750, but like Robertson's also like on a pretty
oh,
steal of a
absolutely no,
contract.
Both of
and
them are ridiculous.
he signed it like days before the season even began, right?
I
Like, which is
yeah.
insane. But if I were to pick one guy, because I think I'll give my little bit of a 2 cents here, I'd have to take Jason Robertson, and it's not a slight on Tage at all. They're both terrific players. I just think when you're looking at that skill set difference between the two, you look at, I think, the IQ, something that kind of improves and gets better over time, whereas you're looking at physical skill, which over time slowly starts to deteriorate. Again, it's like the fine things, right? This is not saying one's drastically better than the other, and nor am I saying that down the road. But it's that one skill set that differs between the two that I think could set Jason up a little bit, just the slightest edge above the rest. And you go look at Dallas as well. You mentioned the record. Again, it doesn't mean much personally wise to a player, but it does fuel it. And Jason's also playing very little minutes. We talked about it last week on the
Dude,
podcast. It's crazy how
it's
much little time he's
crazy.
on the ice, and he's
Like,
doing that.
so Tage Thompson's at 1845 a game, and Jason Robertson's at 1807 a game. So they're like, Tage gets like roughly one shift more, but it's crazy how good they are, and yet they're playing like nothing.
Well, especially Tage in Buffalo, where he's given so much less to work with than even Jason Robertson in Dallas. It's like, who are you? Like, I get that there's some guys on Buffalo that are having breakout years, JJ Paterka, Dylan Cousins, whatever, but like, who are you really playing over a guy that's right behind Draisaitl and McDavid? Like, why aren't you giving more minutes to Tage
But
Thompson?
I get it. Like, I understand why, but like, because it's also like the regular season. Like, we'll probably see these numbers ramp up more towards maybe like March, like if the season's on the line, but like when it's middle of December and everything's still up for grabs. But dude, like playing 1807 and 1845, I'm curious. Hold on. I'm just curious to see how many, like what Connor McDavid's time on ice is. Because I know he's got like,
I think that's mid. It's got to be around mid 20s or
he's
just
got
lower.
like, because he has like 12 points, I think, more than Robertson. And like, he averages 22
Yeah,
minutes and 39 seconds per
no,
game.
it's weird, man, that they
That's
safeguard him. I don't get
crazy
it
to
why.
me. Like, what is Dallas doing? Like, no disrespect to Rupe Hintz, Jamie Benn, Tyler Sagan. Y'all ain't, you guys aren't Jason Robertson.
Let
Like,
the dog eat, man. I don't get it.
let him eat. Evan has money invested in Jason Robertson. Let the
That
man
too.
eat.
That too. However, we will transition here to some other players who are, I think, soon going to be breakout stars. They could very well be breakout stars by the time we finish this season. And we're going to talk about some rookies here in the 2023 NHL year. And a lot of them come to name. Matty Beniers, he's been stellar, and he's been kind of taking that Calder race by storm. You got guys like Shane Wright, who, what a jab he took at Montreal last week, scoring
Oh,
I believe it was his first goal, if I'm not mistaken.
first
Yeah, first
NHL
goal
goal.
against a team that quote unquote passed up on him. Again, I don't believe that whatsoever. He even cleared up the air, but alas, it's still a storyline that's going to be haunting him and the Montreal Canadiens for as long as their careers both cross paths. You got other guys like Slavkovsky, who's been a little quiet, but again, the Montreal Canadiens have been one of the more quieter teams in the NHL as expected. Jared, you were the one who we asked about the rookies, and I want to get your take on some of the rookies. Who do you think's the leading front runner right now? And do you see anyone slowly itching on their heels a little bit? Like, let's give me a little bit of the vibe on the Calder race right now.
Okay, in general, Matty Beniers is winning the Calder. I think right now that would be my opinion, and I don't see it necessarily changing just because he has 23 points in 28 games. But more importantly, he's a key reason he's a number one center on a playoff team right now. And Seattle looks like they're going to maintain a spot in the playoffs. Obviously, there's a long season still to go, so we'll see what happens. But I don't really see Seattle falling out, and I think Matty Beniers is a big reason for why Seattle's so competitive. So I think he's pretty solidified himself as likely the Calder at least front runner. In general, though, the reason I wanted to bring this up is to give some love to the guys at 2 and 3. I think both Matthias McKelly, I'm not sure how to pronounce that. He's on Arizona, so that's the reason he isn't getting a lot of love right now. And also in third place, Cole Perfetti. I think both of those are two guys that aren't necessarily getting a lot of love, probably considering the markets they're playing in. But I think both are very much worth shouting out, and they're making this actually a quietly interesting Calder race. Like in the case of McKelly, there's 3 reasons I'd say why he isn't getting much love. Number 1, he's playing in Arizona. Number 2, he only has 2 goals out of his 20 points, so he's not a goal scorer. You're not seeing a lot of highlights out there. And beyond that, he was just a former 4th round pick, so there's not a lot of name value there. But the fact that this guy, who no one thought was going to be very notable at all heading into the season, looking at the Calder race, the fact that he's 2nd place in league scoring for rookies, I think that's very much worth shouting out. And I want to give some love to the kid. And then in 3rd place, something that I actually mentioned in a previous prediction where I said that Winnipeg was going to end up in a playoff spot. One of my reasons is that I saw Cole Perfetti was playing in the top 6, and I'm like, this is a kid that could actually find himself in the top of the Calder race. And right now he's 3rd place in rookie scoring. But not only that, he's playing on the first line right now in Winnipeg, another team that's, I believe, 1st or 2nd in the Central. So these are kids that obviously McKelly isn't making Arizona competitive because no one can make Arizona competitive. But Cole Perfetti right now is a big reason why the Winnipeg Jets have been so good this year. So I think all those top 3 rookies, it will be Matty Beniers' trophy by the end. I'm pretty confident in that. Yeah. But I think all of the top 3 deserve some shouting out right now because all of them are just playing amazing.
Yeah, and the reason why they're playing so amazing, I don't know if it's that. I think it's a close relationship between the two. It's they're playing amazing, and the teams that are around them, for the most part, the guys who are in that top 3 or so of that, I guess the odds and the voting or whatever, the guys who are more so the favorites, they're helping their team win in big ways nonetheless. I'm looking at a guy right now, and he's 2nd on the odds, plus 500 if you're going to be the betting man.
For who?
His name's Logan Thompson. Logan Thompson. He has been
U-Sports legend.
Yeah, U-Sports legend. Brock Badgers again. Set TMU. We don't like him very much. We don't like the Brock Badgers very much. But alas, he had a great career with them, and lo and behold, he lands a spot in the NHL. William Nylander gets hurt. Job opens up, and he has taken it by storm. The Vegas Golden Knights, from a team that we all kind of, I don't say we all thought, but a lot of people projected them to take a big step back, maybe not even make the playoffs this year. They didn't make it last year. And look at him. He is just netting so many accolades, and he is tending the goal so very well, and he's getting the recognition for it. Is he going to get the top recognition, Evan, at the end of the day? Are we going to see a goalie take home the Calder? And does it even matter if he does take home the Calder? Because nonetheless, just a terrific season he's putting together. I don't think, aside from injury, I don't think he's going to start slowing down anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean, look, a goalie could very well win it, but I just think the way, to Jared's point, to your point, like just the way that Matty Beniers is playing, I feel like at this point it's kind of his award to lose. I don't see many people taking it over. Logan Thompson very well could. The only way I would see Logan Thompson taking it would probably be if Vegas finished 1st in the division. Because other than that, it's kind of hard for a goalie because, like, obviously they have so much talent in front of them. But I mean, right now they're without Theodore Pietrangelo and McNabb, I think it is. So I mean, like, who knows what he looks like in front of a depleted defense? I just think for a goalie, it's really hard to build an argument when it's kind of like your team built in front of you. We can look at that even with veteran goalies like Philip Grubauer, but I kind of wanted to go for my rookie of the year. I'm gonna go with I mean, not rookie of the year, but another rookie
Gotta
just to
look out
give
for it for
love
sure.
to. I think Wyatt
Skylight.
Johnson,
Yeah.
who in Dallas, I thought it was pretty telling that Dallas didn't want to give him up to Team Canada for the World Juniors coming up, just because of how beneficial he's been to the team. Someone who kind of leaked in last year, I believe, a little bit, but has become a full-time NHLer. And playing a position like center, which is one of the more dominant positions in hockey, and just to be a young rookie, I know he's playing with like Ben on that line, and
Gurianov.
I don't. Yeah, I just thought I thought the one telling thing was the fact that Dallas didn't want to give him up because, I mean, all these other rookies have been given the opportunity to go play for Team Canada, and the fact that Dallas said no kind of gave me a little surprise. And then I was thinking about Kalen Addison in Minnesota, and then no disrespect to Kalen Addison, but like 80 or like 95% of his points have been on the power play. So I don't know how much he's provided for them offensively. But overall, 22 years old, I know this is someone that's been in and out between Minnesota and Iowa. So just someone else that the Wild can have. Spurgeon and Dumba are getting up there in age. It's hard to find a young, productive defenseman. And like I think he has 17 points in like 27 games, I think it is,
It's
or
15 and 27.
15 and 27. So it's good enough for a defenseman, rookie defenseman, but definitely wants to get more even strength
Yeah.
than
No,
11 power play assists.
there's a lot of names out there, a lot of guys to look forward to, and again, kind of bridges the connection between what we might see in the next couple years, maybe as soon as next year, breakout stars, right? Wyatt Johnson could very well be a breakout star. I like what he's got going for him, and again, former Toronto Marley too, 03,
Yeah.
So yeah, lots of potential in these guys, and again, we're in that age and that era of this league, which I don't think I've really seen personally too much, where so many young guys are starting to dominate, and it's getting a little sooner. The switch between guys developing and taking a long time to develop, that's a thing of the past. Guys are coming into the league, inserting themselves at young ages, and breaking out within the first 2-3 years of being in the league. So again, great era of hockey. I think that's the big storyline we could take out of this discussion. We're just in a terrific time for
Oh,
the
I love
NHL
that.
and the players, the talent. There's just so much, and the scouting. There's just so much more diverse scouting out there. You're going to places around the world. You're seeing guys come from different places. Again, Latvia is a big one that's sort of coming up. Switzerland, all these places that you never really pinned as hockey centers, hockey epicenters. We're slowly starting to get in there. So, and I think another one, the World Juniors. We'll be seeing that in the next couple of weeks. That's where we'll be getting into the young stars before they even get into the league. Look forward to that. But we're going to look forward to here talking about is William Nylander very square, very quickly, because he's just been taking a quick look at everybody else and just making sure that he is a dominant figure in the Toronto Maple Leafs. I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs at all in this podcast. We're going to hit him up with Young, third in Leafs scoring the season, 33 points, fresh off a wild 7 days of sun, pick up the Leafs, or not the Leafs, the NHL's third star of the week. And he's kind of just presented a different vibe to the team. I mean, Marner, aside from him just being crazy this year on the point street, and then you could see it with the eye test as well, what he's been bringing to the group. He's been one of the leading like guys to bring offense to this team. Now, I gotta ask, do you guys and Jared? I want to hear your thoughts specifically on this question. 40 goals. He's hit 34 in 2021. That was his previous career high. So it's said historically that he can get near that mark. Is this the year we see him break it?
I think so. Honestly, I do. I think he's more than on pace to do it. And at the end of the day, the way I see him getting a lot of his goals, like he's playing like a guy that can't be stopped right now. He's slotting himself every single night in the middle of the slot and is just absolutely ripping shots right now. And he's confident. He's playing like a confident William Nylander. And I really think he could do it. Like 17 goals in 30 games is not something to scoff at whatsoever. And the fact that he's been in and around 40 for so many years and is absolutely butchering his previous pace. Like he is beyond ahead of what he's previously gotten. I think this is the year he does it. And especially with guys like Marner, who he gets to play alongside on the power play. Like with guys like that, also has played a lot of time with John Tavares. Like these are guys that consistently are setting him up, and he's firing shots from the slot, is a confident guy. He isn't playing like someone who's scared to get in and around the net. Like he'll crash the net if he has to. And these are things that, yes, he's done in the past, but I don't think I've seen William Nylander play as confidently as I've seen him play right now. And with so much left in the season, over 50 games left in the season, I really don't think he's going to struggle so much to get he only needs 23 more in those 50 games. And the fact that he's gotten 17 and 30, I really think he's capable of it. And yes, he's still going to get kind of the criticism, I guess, on social media, just because he's never going to change his game style. He's never going to be the guy that's so going into the corners, killing everything in sight, whatever. That isn't his style, but he's very much taking over the role as, yeah, I'm not really going to do that physical stuff. That's out of my pay grade. I'm going to be in the middle, absolutely ripping shots. And he's been doing that as of now better than anyone on the Leafs. And that includes a team with Austin Matthews. He's our leading scorer. So I'm liking what I'm seeing from him. And I think he actually could surpass 40 and get in the middle of the 40s, like 45 or something with the way he's scoring right now. He's having an unbelievable season.
And it's that pay grade that you mentioned that's kind of sparking a lot of conflict on social media, hence Twitter, the Leafs war zone, as it seems every other week. But
every time the Leafs play.
Yeah, exactly. Every time William Nylander's potting goal in the back of the net, new contract negotiations aroused for some weird reason. Oh, how are we going to afford him? Oh, and this was believed as what he's on right now. His deal, that's a terrific deal. That was proven to be dangerous at one point. People were trying to say, oh, this is a terrible contract. Oh, I don't know what's going on here. Guys, it's a steal right now. And I wish Adam Romoli would be here to say it, because he'd be saying the exact same thing I am right now. Probably a little bit more harsher, but
well, he
fell
signed,
asleep.
Yeah, 7.5.
Yeah, no, the contract's amazing. And again, I think we're going to cross that bridge when we get there. We don't know how Willie's going to be in his actual contract here. If he's like this, it could be a little tight.
He's got 2 more years till his well, he's got this year and then next year, and then at 28 he's a free agent.
Okay,
that's why it's so ridiculous that they're bringing up this conversation. But I mean, listen, that like we're studying like media. We know what Toronto media is like. It's crazy.
This is so fun.
Every time things are good, there's nothing to criticize with the way the Leafs are playing right now. So they have to go to, what are we going to pay Bunting? What are we going to pay Nylander? What's Matthews going to do? Like they're going for all the easy storylines.
That whole thing with Bunting, I mean, like I don't know. I wouldn't give him that long-term commitment, but I wouldn't give him 8 years. But like, I get why people are upset by that. I don't want, like, that's a different discussion. But to answer Mario's question, I think health permitting, I think Nylander could get to 40. I'm looking at it right now. Like, it says he's on pace for 46. That's granted he plays an 82 game season. So I definitely think within I definitely think 40. I mean, 17 and 30 is great. Getting, like, averaging a goal every other game is a great pace to be at. I don't know why Leaf fans are worried about what they're going to pay him in 2 years. Just freaking worry about,
because we're Leafs fans.
Like, worry about tomorrow and just worry about other stuff going on. But it's so weird how Nylander's like so underrated. Like, he puts up a point per game like every year, and like nobody talks about it.
Yet people call him overrated too, which is just probably the weirdest complex you could have with a player.
I think at the time that you're saying about like the contract, I think people were fair to call it overpaid, just because he hadn't been working out. And then, like, when he first started playing that season, it was very clear he hadn't stepped on the ice in like 6 months. And then he literally said, yeah, like, once training camp started, I went back to Sweden and all I did was work out. Like, he said he never went on the ice because, like, no team would allow him because of his contract. So I think it was fair then. Obviously, now looking at it now, and we're in the 5th year of the 7-year deal. Now you can say that it's looking like a phenomenal signing, and thank God you signed it when you basically had all the leverage in the world to do so. But yeah, I mean, he's been really good. I mean, how do you not get a point though when you win 7-1 yesterday, or you win 7-0 yesterday and you don't get a point? Like, is he overrated? I mean, I know I'm getting a point, at least a secondary assist. I don't know what Nylander's doing.
Well, William Nylander, what he's been doing, I believe 4 goals in his last 5. He's been really dominant, a force to be reckoned with this last week, this past season so far. And the Maple Leafs have been red hot ever since he's been productive. I believe they got a point in the last 15 games, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. So It's all good in Leafs land. That means something's bad has to happen with one of their players, and they got to make fun and critique, all the little things. But William Nylander might possibly hit 40, and that is a terrific thing for you Leaf fans out there. I want to move quickly here to Ovi. Before we end up the show, I would be heartbroken if I did not acknowledge what we're just witnessing unfold yesterday, and I think every now game going forward. His quest to break the all-time goal record, probably one of the hardest records you can break in all sports, just because of how hard it is, how healthy you have to be, how good and talented you have to be to even come close to touch this record. Well, Obi's there, and he's healthy, and he's old, I guess, but he acts like he's young, and he's scoring like he's young. Like, he's just 2 goals away now from Gordie Howe, who, if you guys are not too familiar with hockey history, Gordie Howe has played, I don't know if it's the most games, but he is quite up there with one of the most games, and he has played a bunch of seasons across a bunch of teams, an all-time legend in hockey. He is just 2 away from him, and then right up next is the guy who everyone considers the GOAT, and who might not just be that anymore in the next couple of years. Wayne Gretzky, 94 away from Wayne Gretzky for the all-time record. That seems like a lot, but with the way OV is scoring, he's projected to score his 900th goal, which would, again, surpass Wayne Gretzky in 2025-2026 season. He's still under contract. He can do it. It is potentially possible, and I'm not a statistician, but they're saying he can get it done with the pace he's on. Guys, you guys aren't statisticians either, so you're in the same boat as me.
Yeah, where's Adamo now?
Where's Adamo? It's only the one show he takes a day off, and he's actually needed. We got Nylander comments, his boy. We got stats all up the wazoo. He's not even here to say it. So
I feel like we're punishing him. Like,
I think so. This
internally
is
here.
Yeah, Adamo, if you're watching this, you've missed out on like your golden boy here. This is your bread and butter.
And no takebacks.
And no take. You had this fall asleep. I don't know why. The Leafs Line podcast is on. You got to wake up. You got to be energetic. Look at Jared. He's always energetic for these things. Anyways, guys, Ovi, I'm not going to say nearing the record, but he's closer than anyone else ever has been, really, in the league.
Oh,
is he hitting it? Evan, I'll start with you. I'll work with Jared. Yes?
Sorry, Jared. Do you want to go first?
Go. You're eager.
Okay, I'll go. He's getting that. Oh, he is hitting that. And I don't know, like, does he become the greatest of all time then?
That's like
greatest debate. Player, greatest goal
scorer, 100%.
I think he already is the greatest goal scorer.
Yeah.
I don't think there's, like, no offense to you, Wayne Gretzky, goalies were not training the same way that they were now, and they're also not as athletic as they were now, and they weren't drinking 7 Diet Cokes in between periods. But I think, like, he's without a doubt the greatest goal scorer who ever lived. It's insane just to see, like, he looks so old. Like, with all those gray hairs.
Yeah, he's not in there. He's not in there for the looks, man.
Yeah,
he does not care.
You figured the gray hairs would go away after winning the Stanley Cup, but it seems like they're just more of them are coming. Yeah. But I don't know what he's on pace for now, but I know he's past 20 goals already this season. I think he still has. Doesn't he have? Wasn't this the first year of the 5-year deal?
Yes, he signed in this past summer.
Yeah, he signed in, so he still has 4 more years after that.
Oh, it's possible, man. It's so possible.
I think he needs to average like 25. I think he needs to average 25, and he's already like at 21 or 22, something like that. But wow, I mean, it's pretty cool. What's
concerning is that it's 94 goals away, and we're considering
94.
94 away from Gretzky.
Gretzky's only 94 away.
But you say it's only
so beyond doable. It's so doable.
It is doable, man.
Wait, he's only.
No, yeah, I searched it up today.
I didn't realize he was that close.
Yeah. Like, he 250 goal seasons and he's there.
And he's done. I think he's hit 2 in his last 3 seasons have been 50 seasons.
Ovi's at 20 goals in 31 games right now. So that puts him at like a 50-something goal pace. Puts him at a 53 goal pace through an 82-game season.
No, it's ridiculous, man. And I'll just say one thing before I go to Jared. If you want to check out anything on Ovi, we have a new Dynasty Sports Network article written by our very own founder, Sammy Brzezowski. Definitely check it out. Again, the link is on your screen, or you could just look up on Google or whatever you want to be, dynastysportsnetwork.ca. We're in there. We're on there. And the greatest goal scorer of all time is what the article is titled as. Take a look. You can see the in-depth stats. And this was even before Ovi broke the record. So there's a great article, great read. And yeah, great timing, by the way. Sammy coming in clutch. Props to Sammy. Jared, go with you. Come on. Is he breaking the record? You say it's a billion times doable. I'm assuming you're going to say it's going to be easily broken. And when it does, is that one of the all-time records that we will never see again be broken?
Yeah, like I don't think I think Ovechkin is going to solidify himself. He already is the greatest goal scorer of all time, but he's going to break the record, no question in my mind. And once he does it, I really don't see anyone taking that over from him. We'll see about Austin Matthews, but in general, I think at least for a good few decades, Ovi will be he there's no one that's going to beat that. I mean, he's going to get over 900 probably. And with 4 more years left on his deal, yes, obviously it's a health permitting thing, but Ovechkin is not retiring until he breaks that record. You could tell at this point he's won his Stanley Cup with Washington. He's not playing for the Stanley Cup anymore. Yes, he wants
Yeah.
it to win. He wants the second one, but really what he wants to do is go down and break the scoring record. So he's gonna play for it. He's gonna keep doing it. Even if he gets hurt, he's gonna come back even hungrier because he's gonna play until that record is his. And once he does that, again, I'm not gonna call him the best player ever because I still think Gretzky, even once his record's broken, there's no one touching his point record. So yeah, like Gretzky will always be the best player to ever play. But Ovechkin is already the greatest goal scorer ever, and he's gonna solidify that once he beats that record because it's happening. He's gonna end his career over 900. And I think with 4 seasons left, I think it's more than doable. I think with the way that Ovechkin has been scoring, the pace he's been scoring at year after year, I don't see a question. Even if his scoring slows down a little bit and he's only getting, 35, 40 goals a year,
But that
like
still puts him at well over the
exactly,
pace.
it puts him well surpassing it. Like that's the thing. I don't think there's much of a question anymore. I think Gretzky is looking at the stats and he's probably sitting there shivering in his boots. Like at this point, what's done is done. There's no way. Like Gretzky can't get back on the ice to build his record up. So Ovi's passing it.
Yeah,
Look,
and I mean, say something. Go ahead.
I would say the only argument I would potentially make for Ovechkin possibly even overtaking Gretzky as the greatest of all time, like he's easily the greatest of all time within European hockey. Like no one's gonna care about Gretzky once Ovechkin. I mean, they are, but like it's gonna be Ovechkin and then Gretzky in Europe, I assume, and at least most certainly in Russia. But like he's 37, and like he still doesn't look like he's slowing down anytime soon. Like no disrespect to Gretzky, but like towards the latter stages of his career, yes, he was getting the points, but he would have like 7 goals in a 50-game stretch with just like a crap load of assists. Like Ovechkin, like you could very well make the argument, I feel like, depending on how many goals Ovechkin finishes with and how many points, like, yes, 2,000 points is insane. I just think when you look at the different modernizations of hockey, like Gretzky was kind of playing in like I don't know. There was no training camp. Like they're just like guys weren't as young and aggressive as they are now. And when you look at where Ovechkin's playing at, and we keep talking about all these young guns, but yet Ovechkin's still
Yeah.
taking over, like
No,
I
it's
don't know.
it's
I
it's a
feel like in
beautiful
10,
thing, man.
15 years from now, we can easily make an argument that Ovechkin has taken over as the greatest of
Yeah.
all time. Just let's see how his career finishes out. But I don't know, just like the way that we see him playing these latter years is not how we saw Gretzky.
And he's
The
at
the
this.
only thing,
Go on,
sorry,
Jared.
the
I'm
only
sorry.
thing I would say to that is there are very different like types of players. Like Ovi for years had the nickname of that one-dimensional player where he would stand there on the power play just waiting. And
In his
there's
office.
no question like he has the best shot, he's the best goal scorer, whatever. But I don't think he was doing things on the other end of the ice, which is why people say Gretzky is the best ever because he read the game and saw the game like no one else. Like I would still say, even though he doesn't nearly have the goals, like I'd say Crosby is a better player than Ovechkin just because he is better on the defensive side. He reads the game differently. So maybe you could say Ovi's the best offensive player ever, but even then Gretzky got over 2,000 points. So I think you're still going to have a hard time convincing at least me and I think most people in hockey that Ovi will ever be the best overall complete well-rounded hockey
I'll
player
find
ever.
a way.
Like no, like at the end of the day, when Ovechkin has the nickname of that one-dimensional player, I just don't think you could really justify saying he's better
Yeah,
than the players who are overall great and the players that are dominating defensively and whatever. I don't think Ov even wants to do that. That isn't in his game style. His game style is stand in one place and just snipe it. Like,
for sure.
but
No,
at the offensively, no one will touch it.
Like
yeah,
the great eight, and I guess we'll see
agreed.
as his career goes on where the great eight, what that even means. Where will great be? Greatest goal scorer, greatest player. The guy's got time to do it, man, and he
Greatest
might even
player.
he might even finish this he might even finish his spell of goals well with time and to spare, right? So it's gonna be fun to watch. And again, I hate to be a broken record, but just a terrific era of hockey we're in. We got a guy
So
chasing
good.
a massive all-time record. We got kids coming up, scoring left, right, and center, making the game so great to watch. And you got the other guys who are stewards in their own field and have been doing it for years, continuing to do it and getting it done. There's just always stuff to talk about here on the Leafs Line podcast. And next week, we'll be doing the exact same thing. But that does it for us. Thank you guys for tuning in to this episode. I'm Aaron Russo, Evan Davis, and Jared Rotenberg. Don Romoli, I don't know where you are, man, but you missed out on a good one here today. But hopefully we will see them next week. Take care, guys. Take care, everyone who is watching, and have a terrific holidays because they're right around the corner. So if we don't see you before then, take care. Have a great winter break.